VOA News. South Korean rescuers race to find potential survivors in capsized ferry. And Russia's president insists on a right to intervene in Ukraine. I'm Michael Lipin reporting from Washington. South Korean rescuers are fighting strong currents and murky waters to find 282 people who are missing after a ferry capsized off the country's southern coast. Officials say 20 people are confirmed dead, but the death toll is expected to rise sharply. A total of 179 passengers and crew have been rescued. Authorities say floating cranes will try to lift the ferry out of the water on Friday. Families of the missing passengers are furious at the South Korean government because of what they say is the slow pace of the rescue effort. Some of the relatives shouted in frustration at President Park Geun-hye when she spoke to them on the island of Jindo near the site of the accident.
거기에 그 지휘하는 모든 분들한테 이 얼마나 우리
Ms. Park said, "I urge those commanding the rescue effort to work to do their best until the last moment, keeping in mind how much the families have suffered. That was my order." Officials have not established the cause of Wednesday's disaster, but some survivors said they heard a loud impact before the vessel rolled onto its side and began sinking. Top diplomats from Ukraine, Russia, the European Union, and the United States have agreed on a set of measures to ease mounting tensions in eastern Ukraine. After Thursday's meeting in Geneva, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said the measures include the disarming of pro-Russian militants occupying buildings in eastern Ukraine. A joint statement from the four powers says an amnesty will be granted to pro-Russian protesters who surrender their weapons and leave the buildings. Speaking at the White House, U.S. President Barack Obama says he hopes Russia will honor the agreement. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said the four powers will try to establish a broad national dialogue in Ukraine to ensure the protection of people's rights. Moscow accuses Ukraine's interim leadership of being anti-Russian. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said he has a right to send troops into Ukraine, but hopes that he doesn't have to do that. He was speaking on a Russian TV call-in show on Thursday. Michael Eccles reports from Moscow.
Mr. Putin warned the Ukrainian authorities of the abyss they're heading into and urged dialogue. He also admitted for the first time that Russian forces had been active in Crimea, which was annexed by Moscow last month. Previously, he insisted that the camouflaged masked gunmen who took over Crimea were a local self-defense force. But Mr. Putin stopped short of saying Russian forces were currently operating in eastern Ukraine.
Чушь это все. Нет на востоке Украины никаких российских подразделений.
It's nonsense, Mr. Putin said. There are no Russian troops or special forces in eastern Ukraine. He added that Kiev's use of armed force in the region is a serious crime. Michael Eccles for VOA News, Moscow.
Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott says a robotic submarine scanning the Indian Ocean floor for a missing Malaysian jetliner will finish its current search within a week. Mr. Abbott told the Wall Street Journal that if the Bluefin 21 submarine does not find any wreckage by then, authorities will stop, regroup, and reconsider how to proceed. The Bluefin 21 has searched 90 square kilometers of the ocean bed so far. Jeffrey Thomas, publisher of AirlineRatings.com, said the search will require patience.
This search could take between a couple of weeks and up to 2 months using the Bluefin 21. And we should also remember that it took us 2 years to find Air France 447. This is going to be, or could be, a long and painful process.
The Malaysia Airlines jet carrying 239 people vanished en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on March 8th. And Gabriel Garcia Marquez, the influential Nobel Prize-winning author of 100 Years of Solitude and Love in the Time of Cholera, has died. He was 87. Widely considered to be the most popular Spanish-language writer since Miguel de Cervantes in the 17th century, Garcia Marquez achieved literary celebrity that drew comparisons to Mark Twain and Charles Dickens. The Colombian-born author's fictional works outsold everything published in Spanish except the Bible. His epic 1967 novel 100 Years of Solitude sold more than 50 million copies in 25 languages. I'm Michael Lipin for VOA.